Changing to our first local story. If you've been around Lloydminster this week, you've probably seen a lot of maskless faces. With the elimination of the mask mandate across Saskatchewan, Jace Mackey explains some visible changes at City Council.
The changes may seem minor, but they are very noticeable for Lloydminster Mayor Gerald Albers.
There was a huge change in council today. You noticed the barriers were gone. I noticed it personally, and just by looking at the council members, I could see them very clearly rather than looking through a series of plexiglass windows in essence.
Monday saw the elimination of the pandemic restrictions that were in place for councillors, including physical distancing, barriers, and mandatory masking. City Council also repealed their vaccine or mandatory test policy. These restrictions dropping made communication around the council table easier, according to the mayor.
The masks were removed. I think that the audio was even better without the masks.
Masks are no longer required while inside city facilities, but the mayor encourages a mask-friendly mentality, with some wanting to continue masking up while around town.
It's important to respect each and everyone's individual rights. If you wish to wear a mask and that's what you feel comfortable with, I would encourage that. If you don't feel comfortable, or if you're quite fine with the restrictions being lifted, terrific, but not to impose one's views either way.
Masking rules are still in place at the Lloydminster Airport and the city's RCMP detachment as they fall under federal regulations. The city still advises residents to take precautions to limit the spread, including vaccination and rapid testing, with the hope that the restrictions don't return.
I was out on the weekend at a couple events. It was great to see people outside smiling, enjoying each other's company, and that now we'll move indoors, which will be much better.
For Primetime Local News, I'm Jace Mackey.
Lloydminster RCMP are looking to the community for suggestions on where the detachment should focus its priorities in 2022.
We're looking to get people's opinions and thoughts on, policing overall. So what do they think are the biggest issues in terms of crime and public safety in the community? What is the RCMP in Lloydminster doing well? What are areas that we can maybe focus on or improve on?
The Let's Talk Policing campaign is encouraging locals to submit their feedback via an online survey. According to Inspector Lee Brockman, last year's feedback revealed a concern for property crime and gang violence. Over the course of the last year, he says the force did see some changes.
We did see a number of reductions. For instance, we saw reductions in stolen property, break and enters, vehicle thefts, theft over $5,000 as well. Those are areas that we saw reductions in. We also did see some increases in certain areas as well in terms of some persons crime types and some other property crime types.
Locals will have the opportunity to submit their feedback from now until March 22nd. The survey can be found online at yourvoicellloyd.ca/RCMP. At some point in your childhood, you've probably dreamt of meeting a role model. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, a local grade 7 class is getting the chance to do exactly that. Here's Jasmine King with the story.
Grade 7's Talk to Experts is a podcast run by students and teacher Cornelius Cron. The podcast is now recording its 3rd season, with the episodes focusing on the guest's childhood, grade 7 experience, and expertise. The podcast is a great way to get students out of their comfort zone.
Communication is such an essential skill for everybody, no matter what your future has in store for you. You're going to have to interact and communicate with people. So this process allows the students to come up with questions, to answer those, have those questions answered, as well as work on promoting the podcast and getting their own message out there.
On Tuesday, the class was speaking to local UFC fighter Tanner Boser on his journey to the UFC, his origins in fighting, and how he stays motivated. Every week, they have experts either come into class or chat virtually with the students for the podcast.
It helps bring some more interest to things that might not be considered traditional jobs. And also it teaches us some more things, and it's still fun. My favorite part is how much new stuff we're learning and how you get to be part of this big podcast thing.
Some of the interviews this year included the Premier of Saskatchewan and a radio host from Ottawa. Students have been excited to contact their experts and discover more information about their careers.
It's a really great way to interact with the world outside the classroom, and it's a great way to learn about a bunch of different things. I did Inspector Lee Brockman. He runs the detachment here in Lloydminster, and he basically talked to us about leadership and his life as a cop.
Grade 7's Talk to Experts is available on most podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And for this week's Beyond the Classroom, I'm Jasmine King.
At Lakeland College, our students are challenged to go beyond the classroom, so when industry knocks, they're ready to thrive. Learn more at lakelandcollege.ca.
Lloydminster Fish and Game Association is hosting its annual banquet Sunday, and for the second year in a row, it will be a drive-through event. Our Nicole Gruber spoke with their president for more.
The Lloydminster and District Fish and Game Association is hosting their annual banquet this coming Sunday, and for the second year in a row, it will be drive-through. And I'm joined here today with the president, Dwayne Davidson, to talk a little bit more about this banquet coming up. Thank you so much, Dwayne, for joining us here today.
Yeah, no problem. I more than happy to do this anytime.
So first off, do you mind letting us know a little bit more about this banquet and what it's all about?
Our drive-through banquet, this is the second time we've hosted it due to the COVID side of things. Now that things are relaxed with COVID, well, hopefully everything's going to open right up for everybody. Just due to the timing of when COVID opened up here, we'd already put in motion to have this drive-through banquet versus our regular banquet we've canceled for 2 years now, as I said there. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And we normally at our regular banquet, we serve between 425 and 485 people at that. So it's a pretty big event, and we're just trying to keep our name out there and provide something for the membership and the general public also.
Are there tickets still left available? And if so, how much are they and where can people find them?
Yeah, the tickets are still available, and you can get them at the exhibition office there, and they're $20 at the exhibition office and $21.18 at event. You can go online and get them.
And it will be held at the Lloydminster Exhibition Grounds again this year. So what time will it be at?
Yeah, it's on Sunday from 4 to 7 p.m. So you just drive up into the stalls, and then we have runners that come and get your order, and by your name, you just say your name, and then we'll bring it out to you. So you just stay in your truck in the appropriate parking spot and sit and chat for a little bit and go from there.
And because this is a fundraiser, where is this money going to that is being raised?
Yeah, it's into our general revenue. Like we're a conservation group, and we have our gun ranges and all that too. So it'll go into the general coffers. I mean, our fundraising has been substantially reduced here over the past 2 years due to COVID. So we're paddling the same ship as everybody is. So it's just another way to get a little bit of funding out of it. We're not going to make a whole bunch on it, but we'd certainly encourage the membership and the public to attend this and help us out.
So along with this dinner, there are a few other items that you guys are selling. What are those items?
Yeah, we've got a deal going with Wildside. They've donated 3 prize packages, and we're going to do a line draw on each of them, and they'll be $5 a piece. And we're selling 3 different ones, and it's basically fishing type equipment and a GPS. So we'll have that all separated out on various line draws, and you pick the one you want and go from there. So it's just a little bit more fundraising. It's just a quick way of chatting with the membership or the general public, whoever comes in, if they want to spend an extra $5 or 10 or whatever they want to spend, and grab the line, and maybe you'll win.
And now with COVID mandates lifting, are you guys hoping to have a full banquet next year?
Oh, we're fully intending having this back in person. I mean, we have to follow the health regulations and that too, and we've done that for 2 years now, and we're gonna keep very positive that we'll be able to get back into our regular routine and host the banquet. I know just talking with members of our organization and our just general public that attend also, they're certainly in tune to wanting to get back to where we were and provide a great meal and do our awards at that banquet also. And yeah, it's just a good fun time. We have entertainment at it, and it's a nice outing and really cheap for what you get, and people certainly enjoy it.
Speaking of food, what does the meal consist of and who is supplying the food this year?
Yeah, we're going to have wild boar and roast beef this year with all the trimmings and dessert. And the wild boar is donated by Ray Faltermeyer. And Ray donated last year, and we certainly appreciate his support there. So if you haven't tried wild boar before, it's actually very good. It's very, very similar to pork, and a little slightly darker color, but yeah, no, the taste is really good. It's not don't let the wild fool you in the front of its name there. It's actually a very good meat.
And is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, it's just it's another community item, and you know, we'd certainly want to sell more tickets for it. Ticket sales are a little slower, I will say that. Come on out and support us. Say you don't have to cook that night for yourself or your family, and come on out and support us, and we'd be happy to have a little chat with you there. So.
All right. And as a reminder, that is happening this Sunday, and tickets are $20 for that. Thank you so much, Dwayne, for coming on and doing this with us today.
Well, thank you for calling me, Nicole. That's awesome. I certainly don't mind doing this on anything we're doing, and yeah, it helps us out immensely.
Despite some light snowfall over the course of the past couple of weeks, things have been pretty nice. Unfortunately, it sounds like that's not going to last, as Shelby Clark has our first weather segment.
Thanks so much, Tate. Yes, taking a first look at your weather forecast here in the border city. Unfortunately, we do have a snowfall warning in effect right now, especially here in the border city, and I will show later on where else there is a snowfall warning right now, but we will be expected to, over the next couple days, seeing around 10 to 20 centimeters of some snowfall, so get ready, it's coming. But right now we are sitting at -12, and with that wind chill, it does feel close to -20, so we are seeing a much cooler day today with that wind chill, and we haven't been seeing too much sun, so it has cooled down quite a bit compared to what we have been seeing earlier on in the week. Switching now over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. As I was saying, down here in Provost, Wainwright, and Vermilion, in those areas as well, they do have that snowfall warning in effect as well. So please be careful out there on those roads, of course, as well. Once it starts, it will be beginning overnight tonight. But over on the Alberta side, we are still seeing some of those single-digit temps, so which is not too bad to see. Most spots seeing around -8, -9 degrees. Bonnyville is just hitting that -10 mark, while Moraine is at -11 and Edmonton is at -6. Switching now over to our Saskatchewan side, they are seeing some slightly cooler temperatures compared to the Alberta side, seeing those double-digit temps in most spots on the map. -14 in Green Lake, St. Walburg, and Maidstone. Isle Cross is at -17, -11 in Pearceland, while North Battleford is at -16, and down in Macklin they are seeing slightly warmer, hitting that -9 point. In North Battleford right now at -16, they will be cooling down to a low of -24, which tomorrow they will be seeing -13. So seeing a slightly warmer day, but they will be seeing a high chance of some snowfall as well. So we will be seeing lots of snow across the region. Cold Lake will be going down to a low of -23, seeing a couple clouds in sight. Then tomorrow they'll be seeing -10 throughout the day. So seeing a slightly cooler day, but they will be seeing not too much of a chance of some snowfall and seeing some cloudier skies. And for here in the border city, as I was saying, we will be seeing that snowfall begin throughout the night. So get ready to see some more snow and keep those shovels out, because you probably will need to shovel. But I would say don't even start it until after it's over on Friday, because there's probably no point. It's just going to keep coming. And then we will be seeing -20 tonight and tomorrow. Then we will be seeing -13 with some more snowfall starting off. And now just showing off one of your photo submissions. Thank you to everyone that submitted some beautiful photos to our Facebook page. You can continue to do so. So thank you to Jody for submitting this beautiful sunset shot. And that's all I got for now. Our Tate Laycraft will have more news coming up after the break.
This Friday, the Lloydminster Bobcats will hit the road for round 1 of the AJHL playoffs. As the team looks for the first championship in franchise history, here's Evan Kenny.
After finishing the regular season with a record of 30, 26, and 4, good enough for 5th place in the AJHL North, the Lloydminster Bobcats will be making the postseason for the first time since 2018. Their first round matchup, the Drayton Valley Thunder, who finished with a record of 33, 17, and 10. The two teams split the season series, with Lloydminster scoring 18 goals and Drayton Valley scoring 19.
Well, I think playing Drayton this year has been some of the most exciting hockey games in the Civic Center, and they've been back and forth and really good hockey games. I think a part of our area that we got to get better as when we go to their rink is to stay out of the penalty box. And yeah, last Thursday we saw it. We took 3 penalties within the first 10 minutes, and if they're not scoring on it, it just gives momentum, and you want to stay on the right side of the puck, and that's a big part for us. So if we can stay disciplined, I like the matchup. We know it's going to be tough the whole way through, and it's a game of inches, but the discipline within our structure and the discipline staying on the penalty box are going to be 2 areas that we really need to pay attention to.
On the season, exactly half of the Bobcats' wins came here at the Civic Center. Meanwhile, specifically between Lloydminster and Drayton Valley, the home team won every single matchup. Games 1 and 2 will be in Drayton Valley on Friday and Saturday. However, fans here in Lloydminster can take in the action, as the Canadian Brewhouse will be streaming both games. Games 3 and 4 will be here next Tuesday and Wednesday. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now, for your second look at weather, we'll check in with Shelby Clark.
Thanks so much, Tate. Now taking another look at your weather forecast. Here in the central zone of the provinces, we're going to be looking at first here on the Alberta side. We are still seeing those single-digit points in most spots on the map here. A lot of -7s on the board. -5 in Edson, while Edmonton is at that -6 mark. And Jasper still beating out all of us, seeing just that 1 degree point. Now switching over to our Saskatchewan side here, they're seeing some definitely slightly cooler temperatures compared to the Alberta side with those double-digit temps. Cold Lake is still sitting at -8, -13 in Meadow Lake, while it is -17 in Prince Albert, -16 in both North Battleford and Saskatoon, and Melfort is slightly cooler, just seeing that -21 point. Now switching over to our northern region now of the provinces, they are seeing some slightly cooler temperatures as well, but not as bad as we thought we would expect to see the northern region. -19s in most spots on the map here, -17 in Wollaston Lake, while South End is at -11, and La Ronge and Flin Flon both at -14. Now switching over to this end here, usually down in this area they do see some warmer temperatures. We're seeing -6 in Slave Lake and Grand Prairie, -8 in Peace River, while Fort McMurray just hit that -10 mark, and high level in Fort Chipewyan slightly cooler. Now going over to our southern region now of the provinces, they are seeing those single-digit temps, but they aren't seeing as warm temperatures as they have been seeing yesterday. -5 in Lethbridge, while Medicine Hat is just hitting -2, -7 degrees in Calgary, while Coronation is at -9, and Banff is the warmest, just seeing 4 degrees. Going over to this end here now, they're seeing some slightly cooler temperatures, but not too bad. Most spots seeing around -10, -11, -19 in Yorkton. So Yorkton has even almost reached that -20 point, and Swift Current and Kindersley are -9, -12. And now looking back across the region at temperatures of what we will expect to see overnight tonight, we will be seeing some slightly cooler temperatures. Murnum will be seeing a low of -12, while Provost will be seeing a low of -14. And of course with Provost, as I was saying before, they do have that snowfall warning in effect right now, so they will be seeing that start up in the evening and throughout the night. Wainwright will be seeing a low of -16, while it will be a low of -21 for Bonnyville. Paradise Hill and Unity both will be seeing a low of -24. Pearson will be seeing a low of -25. And Meadow Lake and Isle of Cross will be seeing the coolest, seeing past that -30 point. But yes, Provost will be seeing a high chance of some snowfall, while the rest will just be seeing some cloudier skies. Now looking at our 3-day forecast for here in the border city. For us here, yes, we will be seeing that snowfall throughout the day tomorrow and Friday, so get ready to see it. Please drive careful out there on those roads because it will be slippery. Friday we'll be seeing -10 to start off the weekend there, so we will still be seeing some slightly warmer temperatures, warmer than usual. And then Saturday we'll see a break from that snowfall, while the snowfall will end mid-afternoon in Friday, and Saturday we'll see a mix of some sun and cloud for our weekend. That's another look at your weather forecast. Our Tate Laycraft will have more news coming up after the break.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator in Lloydminster at Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation. We're here for another episode of Healthy, Thriving Family After Divorce. So Stephanie, this week we are going to be talking about how spousal support works for couples going through separation or divorce. So first question, let's start with the basics. And what is spousal support?
So of course, as usual, this is a very complicated topic, but I'm going to try to just break it down. So spousal support is money that's payable from one spouse to another when there's a breakdown of a relationship. So of course, there's legislation that deals with this. So there's the Federal Divorce Act, and then there's the provincial counterparts for unmarried spouses. But that legislation sets out the objectives of spousal support and the factors to consider whether spousal support is appropriate. So in any analysis, we have a two-step process. So first, we look at entitlement. So until and unless it's determined that a person is actually, the word entitled to spousal support, we don't move forward in the analysis. So the second step is once entitlement has been found, then we look to how much for how long. So let's go on to that next step.
Okay, well, let's talk about that, Stephanie. How does a person know if they are in fact entitled to spousal support under step one?
Yeah, so I know, the word entitlement is a legal word in this context. And in my experience, it's been a word that can sometimes cause fire to start to come out of people's words. They don't like the word entitlement, but in here, it's just a legal term. So how is that entitlement determined? So you have to fit under one of three headings to be entitled to spousal support. So the first one is called contractual support. So in this case, it would be if a person is under a contractual obligation to provide support to their spouse. So an example, an interspousal agreement, a prenuptial agreement, or any other kind of contractual agreement. So that can arise anytime, before starting to live together, once you've been living together, or even once you've been separated. So number two is called compensatory support. So viewers can think of compensatory support as looking backward into the relationship to compensate one spouse for decisions that have been made during the relationship that may affect that spouse's income earning potential in the future. So for example, this often arises if one spouse has taken time off of work to care for children, or even if you've geographically moved to follow a spouse's career advancements. So the goal here is to compensate. So compensatory support is to compensate for economic advantages or disadvantages resulting from the breakdown of the relationship. So the third one, so we've got contractual support, compensatory support, and then the third one is non-compensatory support. So this is, I think of this like forward-looking support. So it's based on your need going forward and your ability to become self-sufficient after the relationship ends. So we can think of budgets, economic interdependence between spouses, or even changes to the standard of living as a result of the breakdown of the relationship.
So Stephanie, if spousal support is payable, how much would a person then have to pay?
Again, it's complicated, but it's become more formulaic in its approach with the onset of what's called the Spousal Support Advisory Guidelines. So in 2005, they came into effect, similar to the child support guidelines, but these aren't as mandatory. They're more called advisory. So there's two different formulas under the Spousal Support Advisory Guidelines: when child support is payable and when child support is not payable. So in order to figure out how much is payable, we have to input things like each of the spouse's income levels, the child support amount that's payable, and then outspits an amount as a range. So in every calculation, there's the low end of the range, the mid, and then the high end of that range. So within that range, there's of course room for negotiations as far as where within the range you would fit. And of course, it's not an exact science.
And how long is spousal support payable for? How do you figure that out, Stephanie?
Well, again, under the Spousal Support Advisory Guidelines, that provides us some guidance. So there's a few rules that come into play. And of course, it always can get complicated, but let's look at some of the guiding principles. So first, there's two situations where spousal support will go on what's called indefinitely. So the first is if the spouses have lived together for over 20 years, and the second is called the Rule of 65. So it's where the number of years that you've lived together plus the recipient's age is over 65. Now, the word indefinitely doesn't mean forever. It just means without a specific end. So another guiding principle is that if there's no child support payable, then the duration is usually somewhere between 0.5 and 1 year for every year that the spouses live together. So if you live together 10 years, the range is somewhere between 5 to 10 years in length. And lastly, if there is child support payable, then there's a little bit more flexibility in the duration depending on the circumstances. So it could be that same 0.5 to 1 year principle, or it could be in relation to when the children start or finish full-time school.
All right, Stephanie. Well, thank you so much for joining us again this week, and we will be back next week to chat more about this subject.
You bet. Thanks.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is director Wes Miller, and we are here to speak about his latest film coming out called A Day to Die, and this is starring Bruce Willis among many other actors, and this is supposed to be coming out on March 4th. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, can we start off with talking about what this movie is all about?
Yeah, thanks for having me. A Day to Die is a really cool, fun action film, like you said, with Bruce Willis, Frank Grillo, the classic Leon, Kevin Dillon. And this is just a really fun project, that's really close to my heart. And, some good popcorn, movie, but me as a filmmaker, I always wanted to kind of hopefully leave the audience, with a little message, but a lot of fun, a lot of guns, a lot of blowing stuff up. And yeah, just a really cool action film that we're really excited to share with the world.
Would you say that this new film has kind of a different aspect that you're used to with your previous work, and or you had a different experience with it?
Experience, I think this one's just really bigger. We really went for it and swung for it. A lot of the other projects have been, smaller character pieces. This one is really, all out action. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. But me as a filmmaker, Leon asked me a couple of questions before we started working. And I kind of feel like I'm a filmmaker who really specializes in socially relevant action films. So I want to entertain the audience, but also, this is a medium that lasts a lot longer than I'll be here. So I just want to, also infuse a little bit of me in it. So you'll get a little messaging, but a lot of action and fun with it.
Mm-hmm. And I know a little bit earlier, we already spoke about all the action that's going to be involved in this newest film. And can you expand a bit more on the plot of the movie and just more about what the main character is all about?
Yeah, so I don't want to give everything away because there are a couple of twists in there, but it's really about a group of men from different walks of life who are forced to put their differences aside and come together for a common good. And then it revolves around the plot of one former brother, Kevin Dillon's character, crosses the drug guy of the area, which is Leon's character. And Leon's character ends up kidnapping Kevin's wife, and they have to resolve their differences. And in doing that through this, chaotic day, then we learn a lot about the characters, and different alliances have to be made before the day ends.
Well, it definitely sounds like you got an interesting plot for this film. Is there some inspiration that you had or a moment that inspired you to create this?
No, I think like for me, again, I want to make films that are commercial, but that also have a piece of me. I'm a former civil rights attorney. So, diversity and issues to dealing with the minority community are really, are like ingrained in me. My grandmother was like a union rep in Memphis, Tennessee. And so, that's just part of me as a filmmaker. So I just look at my career goals, and I want to be a, commercial filmmaker. I want to make people smile. I want to make people laugh. I want to entertain them. But I do have something to say. So I think it came out of that, like looking for something to say, but also in a way that's entertaining. And to me, like these different characters, they're really metaphors for different aspects of the world. And as divided as we are now, it's really a metaphor about putting differences aside and, coming to a common goal.
And, since it's coming out so soon here on March 4th, it's already moved up. We flew by February and everything. It's moving quick. How has support been so far from people, like with it coming up now?
Oh, it's been amazing. Our trailer is up to like 1.4 million views on it. We did a screening in Jackson, Mississippi, where we shot it. The reception was amazing. I'm actually in New York now for a second screening. I've been told this is like Bruce Willis's best movie in like the last 10 years, which is very, humbling. Bruce doesn't work with tons of directors, even though he's done quite a few movies. So that's really saying a lot. And I think everybody, comments on like Leon's performance, he's just a consummate professional and is amazing. And then, Frank and Kevin, they just kind of killed it. So getting a lot of great feedback, especially for, I say just an action film, but, again, to me, like action films are like the epitome of cinema. It's just, movement, music, action. And so it's really been real humbling, but I'm really happy with the reception we've been getting.
Well, it's really great to hear with how fun the experience has been for you so far, working with all these great actors involved in it. It sounds like it is going to be a very fascinating film with lots of action-packed sequences. I'm sure lots of those action film fans are going to enjoy. Is there anything else you want to add that I may have missed out on?
No, it releases March 4th in select theaters. If you go to my Instagram, I have a poster up where you can play it. My Instagram is I am Wes Miller. And, on March 4th, if it's not at a theater close to you, then let's hit Apple TV and Amazon, the different transactional places you can go. Your cable VOD, it should be on there. And please watch it with surround sound because we put a lot of love into the sound mix. Action movies have to feel big. So, that's it.
Okay, awesome. Thanks again so much for joining us today, Wes. And for all you action film fans out there, get ready to catch A Day to Die coming out on March 4th.
All right, thank you for having me.
I fight to win.
Now we'll be ending off with taking a look at tomorrow's temperatures across the region. Here we will be seeing those double-digit temperatures across the region. So we will be cooling down just slightly, but we will still be seeing those warmer temps. And of course, as I was saying, we will be seeing that snowfall warning continue for us here in the border city. And now taking a look at our 7-day forecast for here in the border city, we will be seeing that snowfall tomorrow at -13. Then it will continue into Friday there with a lot more cloudier skies as well. It'll start off this weekend. Then Saturday and Sunday, we'll see a mix of some sun and cloud with -8 on Saturday and -6 on Sunday. So we'll be seeing those single-digit temps on the weekend that will hopefully help melt down all that snow. Then next week, we'll be starting off warm at -2 next Monday and then seeing -7, -11 next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Thank you very much, Shelby. That is all the time we have for this first hour of PTLN. So thank you very much for tuning in. And if you missed anything, stay tuned for the next hour.